Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. Help! I'm in a nutshell.
Mm-mm.
No, stop.
Mm.
Please stop, for the love of God. Okay, so Andy's not here, so I mean, we don't necessarily need to do what we had talked about doing, where we do Lost first
Yeah, we don't have to do that.
and then roll into the other. Do we want to do the Oscar thing? I don't really care. Like, I just need to grab a piece of paper and a pencil to write down what our
When
picks
are the
are, and
Oscars?
tomorrow night.
They are tomorrow night. Okay.
That's why I think it would be current, even though, like, see, no, I feel like no, maybe we'll save this one for
Yeah, I
next
mean,
year.
I watched Nightmare Alley, so and that's about the only Oscar worthy. I thought there was one other Best Picture one that I watched, but I can't remember. It's confusing now because there's like 15 Best Movie nominations now. Let me see.
I'm still very annoyed, even though there hasn't been, at least to my knowledge, anything. Well, no, I I'm really kind of shitty on the Oscars because they
Oh, I
keep
thought
making.
Dune also
What's Dune nominated for?
Best Picture.
Well, effects.
It's
Nominated
nominated
for
for.
Best Picture too.
Oh wow, it's not gonna get it.
Really?
No,
No.
yeah, it won't win.
So basically, in my theory is, honestly, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like because like of the fact that movie theaters and the pandemic happened, like the bar to be Oscar nominated, it just seems like it's lower, because I don't think Don't Look Up is an Oscar not worthy film, and yet I think it's nominated for like
But I
best.
don't think it would be if we had the traditional five. As soon
Yeah.
as they doubled it, it changed everything.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I've soured on the Oscar because, well, I've just stayed sour on it for a while because they make all these changes like this with the different the adding of
See, we
you know,
should talk
more
about
films to
this while we're recording.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
welcome to the All Pop No Culture
There you go.
Podcast. I'm your host this week, Pete. I am joined by Kevin
Oh,
and Andrew.
good to be back. Good to be back.
No Andy tonight. He is actually out at the movies with his fiance. It's not his fiance, but it's funny to just say that. He's gonna listen back to this and be like, "You motherfucker," and then I'll have broken the joke, so it won't matter. He's actually seeing a movie we talked about a little bit last week that we all were interested in seeing, and well, he's seeing Lost City, and Kevin and I had started a conversation about what we would see in the theaters, and that brought us to talking about Oscar things, and you probably just heard some of that because I'm going to leave a bunch of that in. But yeah, you were saying, Andrew.
Oh,
or was I saying? Oh no, yeah, no. I think
we
I
were
was
all
saying. Yeah, well, okay. Well, so where I was going with before Kevin said, "Hey, it's probably a good time to start." Oh yeah, we're a pop culture centered podcast, and most talks about streaming movies and television on the various platforms, and we have a beautiful watch of Law. That sounded so weird, but we're watching Lost. Andrew and I for the first time. Kevin is with his silent, stoic glee is enjoying listening to all our ridiculous ass theories, like we were watching Lost for the very first time back when it first came out, because we've never seen it, and we'll get to that later, because it's tonight is another big one. It's season finale, 3-part. I said that's I know we had a really really long one last week because we did 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Which we can get to a little bit, because I do want Andrew's quick take on a lot of what happened in some of those.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, 3-part season finale, season 1 in full swing. So this should be a lively discussion, because a lot of shit happens. But back to where we were. Normally at this time, we start telling you about what we've all seen throughout the week. But we're going to do it a little different tonight because we're talking about the Oscars. We'll see what happens. We'll make some predictions. It'll be a while past, so you'll all have forgotten about it by then. Maybe I should do like a producer type job next year and plan this out ahead of time so that we actually would.
Yeah, why don't you start planning the next 52 episodes right now?
I think I should. Yeah. I think that'll be that's what I'll do in all my spare time. But yeah, the Oscars are happening, so we're gonna do some Oscar picks. But I was saying, as I started to see here, I've been down on the Oscars, not just for the whole production value, because I love award shows actually for that, when they have a new host or when they try a new hosting thing. That's my favorite shit. I'm sorry, the Golden Globes, Ricky Gervais has been so awesome, and people are so afraid of the shit he says, and I'm like, I love it. Like, I want fucking Jimmy Carr to host the Oscars. Right, like that would be like my dream world, like or just like get everybody, like him and Jeff Ross hosting the Oscars together would just be the best shit ever. But I mean, Ricky Gervais, especially at the Golden Globes, when he, the few times he did, he was hard. He went at some people pretty hard, and it was funny. People groaned at stuff, and I was like, no, that's funny. You're too big a pussy to be seen. No, I gotta stop, because I'm not gonna use that word in a negative way like that anymore.
Big?
No.
Oh.
Asshat. You're a dipshit if you're not laughing at something because you're afraid to be seen laughing at something. Because you watched everybody's faces, and this, to me, when you when you do the shock surprise, that's the same thing as a laugh. You just don't want to actually laugh. Okay, you've reacted to it. Don't give me your bullshit. And people should just laugh at shit. I'm sorry, if it's funny, it's fucking funny. Deal with it. That's my little rant on that. But my thing with the Oscars is that finally is that they still take any comedy, and there's one category. It's comedy or musical.
Yeah, which are two completely unrelated things.
Especially because musicals are becoming more commonplace now. Like they haven't been in a long time. Like we're getting a lot of musicals. For a while there weren't, like, I want to say through the 80s and the 90s, there really weren't musicals that came out. And now it's like kind of chic and in vogue to be in a movie musical. And you've got, Disney's redoing all their fucking movies as live action. So you've got those, you've got Broadway coming to, like there's all this stuff that's going on that, with that I think it's time that it just needs to be two different categories. And I mean, it always should have been, because I'm sorry, there's an entire segment of the public that's not served when because you're never going to find a fucking comedy that's going to be even nominated for Best Picture ever. It's just not going to happen. There's going to be movies
this year
that can be darkly humorous.
I guess it's not a comedy, but Licorice Pizza, isn't that at least a little funny?
Yeah. Oh no. There are movies
that I think Don't Look Up is also kind of supposed to be kind of like
a little bit. Yeah.
It is, but see, Don't Look Up to me, and again, I haven't watched all of it. I've only watched a few minutes, but that to me seems more like a Dr. Strangelove, which, yes, it's funny, but it's also like this giant satirical spoof.
Yeah, it's true. Satire is a good.
So it's it's not.
It is satire.
It is, but it's like
Adam McKay. That's his thing.
Exactly, and it's fucking brilliant, But I just, because I hate to say it, there are a lot of movies, like a lot of comedies that come out that are fucking hilarious, that should have their own. They should just have their own category. They should be recognized in that same way. So that's my anti-Oscar rant. Yeah. So, who's seen anything nominated? I think, Kevin, you said you saw Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, there was two from the Best Picture. I just had it up. Let me see. Nightmare Alley and Dune. And that's it. For some reason, I just haven't been able to get to Coda. I really, really wanted to watch it. I've wanted to watch since the first trailer.
Thank you. Same.
And for some reason, I just haven't made the time for it. I think it looks great. And it's not like I don't have access to it, right? It's Apple TV Plus. Like, I've got it sitting right in front of me all the time.
It's in my up next.
Yeah. And so I don't have an excuse. I'm really curious about Drive My Car, and Belfast. I actually really like Kenneth Branagh a lot. So there's a few that I'm at least interested in. I can't speak to how good they actually are, but I'm interested in them.
I think for me, I just watched King Richard, and I think what I think intrigued me was before I saw the film, I was seeing headlines about controversy and how some people had a problem with the fact that it was focused more on Richard versus the sisters.
Mhm.
Um, and I can get into that later. But besides
No,
King
no,
Richard,
just roll into it now, because this will be,
Yeah.
because I've really, this is one that I'm actually kind of pissed at myself that I haven't watched, because from the first moment I saw that trailer and I realized what it was, and at first my first reaction, okay, within the first like 20 seconds of the trailer was like, oh my god, like did they seriously make this movie about Venus and Serena, like, and then I'm watching Will Smith, and just from the preview I'm like, oh shit, this looks like it could be kind of cool. Like this isn't just a good trailer that they cut together. Like this movie looks like it's
Mhm.
got some shit going on in here. Like this should be good. And so I've really wanted to see it. So there's, I I see. I could see why someone would say, like, it would kind of court some controversy because it's about him and not them. But it's about him and not
But is that
them.
true though? I mean, Andrew, you watched it. Is it really
yeah.
that much
So
about him?
basically, it is his movie. But here's the thing. So a couple things. So I think one thing that I think there's a lot of sociological like exchange and dialogue when it comes to art. So when and basically, I think as a society we've kind of moved away from anything that smacks of like patriarchy or maleness or whatever, right? So I saw a lot of parallels between Richard Williams and Joseph Jackson. They're
Mm.
both, I'll just say it, Black male patriarchs who are definitely not softies. They're very driven, and they were able to take their families from poverty. Like Gary, Indiana is a place where most of their kids, like most of their peers, are dead or in
Yeah.
jail. And the Williams family, they're from Compton. Okay, so in the film, you're seeing gangbangers, and you see Richard Williams get stomped by the gangs, like multiple times because he's trying to defend his daughter because they're trying to get at one of his daughters. So it's like, is he a saint? Is he perfect? No, he's not. But at the same time, was he a genius? Was Joseph Jackson a genius in terms of being able to take, you know, something from nothing and become literally legends in their field? I mean, they say that Serena, is arguably the best tennis player, women's tennis player to have ever walked the earth. Okay.
Mhm.
Whereas, and you're seeing in the film just how many people doubted them. I think it's an amazing story, and I don't think you can't discount the fact that no one, I think, does it on their own, so to speak. Like he was the rock, he was the foundation. Him and his wife poured their energy and time into nurturing them. So I do think, and also one thing I'll also add to this rant here is that both Venus and Serena co-produced this film. Like they were very
Yeah.
heavily involved in this. So I think it's a bit presumptuous for certain segments of society to say, oh, and criticize and say, oh, they're taking away your glory and they're giving it all to the man again and all that. It's stop the madness. Okay, the good news is I think that ultimately it's just a small segment speaking loudly. Because the feedback that I got when I threw it up on my own Facebook page about the film, everybody in the comment section was like, great film, and there was no mention of toxicity, and I haven't even gotten to like the performances themselves or the fact that the Punisher is in the film as well, as in John Berthal.
So it's interesting you say that, because I really think that I had a very cogent point that I just thought of, and it's leaving my brain. God damn it. No, um it's interesting because that you made the comparison to Joe Jackson in that way, because he's always been painted as
Demon.
A demon, mostly because of the way he treated his kids on top of it, like, but physically
Yeah.
and mentally. But I think and I could see where he could be a harder character to watch for some people, because like you said, he is old school, a lot stricter, but he's also, I mean, he's trying to build something with these two young girls who are showing this promise at a time. And like you said, he growing up in Compton when they did, you're talking about, we'll talk, it's a little bit stereotypical, but there is also a lot of reality to what I'm about to say. You're talking about a time where young women of that age were more often, well, not more often than not, but there was a lot of rampant teenage pregnancy, very young going on in that community. Like the height of the crack epidemic.
One thing I want to say as well, they both happen to be, it's crazy, the parallels. Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
Both the Williams family and the Jackson family were Jehovah's Witnesses. So a huge part of, like, you see in the film is there's 5 girls in that household. So those parents had to do a hell of a job to keep all 5, from not spiraling out of control in that environment.
That's insane. Look, yeah, I got 2 girls right now, and I can't
3 boys, yeah,
three. See, like, I can't imagine, like, South Central, especially at that time period, was not like
late 80s, early 90s.
Was bad like that. Like I said, that's not the height, but that's the, that's Boys in the Hood.
Yes, no, literally. I mean,
right there.
You see, like, on the news in the film, you see the Rodney King beating happening, like, on the news as you're watching, as in the movie.
I don't think you can judge another parent on doing what they have to do to keep their kids safe in an environment like that
you've never been in. Like, I mean,
never been
come
in,
on,
when you've never been in that situation.
Yeah,
I can't.
You guys are from, like, Pleasanton, San Ramon, and I'm from, like, Livermore. I mean, we didn't have it that bad,
Yeah.
And I think in Nova Scotia, what are they handing out handshakes out there?
Hey.
No, it's
hey, we're about to fight, eh? But it's it's so different. Like, I can't imagine walking out your door and just walking out the front door and being like, "Fuck, am I going to get shot today?"
Precisely.
Like, like it's like literally, it's like it's a thing that you and I, Pete, will never understand. Is the idea of being a Black parent and teaching your kids what they have to do when they get pulled over. Like, so many Black parents that teach their kids, like, oh, you immediately put your hands on the wheel. Like, there's shit that you and I will never deal with, and now you add in the layer of, like, growing up in Compton, which, Andrew, I don't think you had to deal with, that part. Like, so this is, it's really hard for people to understand things that they will never experience, right?
So yeah, exactly. So, a couple of things on Will. So, Will is, some people would say there's actors and movie stars, right? And I think Will's almost, he's a movie star, but I think that he definitely puts the work in to kind of be an actor. So I feel like when I watched Ali, for example, there were times where I forgot it was Will Smith, and I think that's a good thing. Okay.
Mhm.
And at first, when I'm watching this film, I'm like, okay, this is Will Smith playing Richard Williams, right? But a couple times I forgot it was Will. And I think that's props to him, dude. Because it almost seemed forced, but I'm like, no, Richard Williams really, was kind of hunched like that. He really had a little toothpick in his mouth. He really did speak the way
I think that's tricky for Will Smith too, because he's such a personality now.
Yeah.
Will Smith is Will Smith in most things because he is that guy. So, but what I'm saying is, like, when he gets beyond that, he's really doing something special.
Yes.
I always, I don't want to say I always knew I knew in one singular moment that Will Smith was going to be a great actor one day. Yeah, you know, and
Why,
I know,
Why you don't
I know,
want me, man? Keep going. Go.
I know, yes, I know you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. The very, because I remember the first time I
Series
saw that.
finale.
No, it's when his dad, played by Ben Vereen,
Yes.
comes for a visit. And then his dad is supposed to take Will with him, but he gets a deal and a job, and so he doesn't take Will with him, and he leaves, and he just cuts. And Will's having this like conversation with Uncle Phil, and he's he's talking about how he doesn't need it, and it's just you're watching in that moment. And I mean, Fresh Prince had always been peppered with these even before that, very sentimental moments. Like it was very. I know we all talk about that show about, like, for our generation, how much we love it. And we all know the theme song. We all know this. I don't think people realize how just good a sitcom that show was. Forget like groundbreaking and representative of this or that or blah, 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 blah. It was just a brilliant, awesome fucking show. Like it tackled so many issues and covered so many things so fucking well. But in that moment, when he breaks down and he runs through a myriad of emotions, and you're seeing that, it was I said right then, I was like, oh, this dude's going to blow up this way. Like, he's gonna do music, but this is
like, well, yeah, because at that point he wasn't just a kid that made fun music that
right.
That we enjoyed. That he actually had somewhere else to go with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because if he couldn't act, like if he hadn't pulled off Fresh Prince, like his career kind of would have been over. His style of music was good for an album and a half, basically.
No, I'm sorry, I'm gonna disagree with you there, because I do actually like, not even Summertime. Yes, Summertime, stuff, right? But some of the later stuff, I love, like, Getting Jiggy With It. I love
Miami. Yeah, exactly.
Would those albums have been made if he hadn't made it as an actor?
No.
Like, that's the thing. Like
no, I'll take. You know what? I'll be straight up with you. Only because he got Kumo D to bless the track. I even like that fucking Wild Wild West. Yes. Fucking
the song's fine. The movie's fucking horrible.
Oh my god.
And Cisco, man. Cisco is all over that chorus.
That's right.
Yep.
But yeah, no. Will Smith I think he is completely slept on as an actor. And then so no, that was the first time I saw it. And so you see it and you're like, okay, he's going to be an actor. And then I saw Will's first movie,
Independence Day, baby. No, wait, not his first movie. You're talking about the one with, what's her name?
6 Degrees of Separation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the serious one.
He's fucking brilliant.
I'll have to see it again
in that movie.
It was just,
it
wasn't the Will that I was used to. That's why.
At all. Yeah. At all. And it's a very and for the Will Smith that everybody knows, and for the this and that, that's a real brave choice to come out and be a gay hustler con man with the image that you have. And that's a very famous role. It's a very famous play. Okay. And you got to think about it as it's your first movie role, and you're acting opposite Stockard Channing and Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like, that's like
go big or go home, right?
It was also one of Anthony Michael Hall's first like pop into the scenes.
Yeah.
Back after his career had kind of waned down a little bit. That movie, that it's one of those, like, it doesn't garner, I think, the respect it deserves. I know a lot of people hear about it. It's almost like that. I'm not going to. I was about to go off on a tangent. Not going to, because we're still talking about Will Smith, and I'm going to keep it there.
No. We were talking about the Oscars, so we're already on a tangent.
But it's about King Richard. And Will Smith.
I want to tie up with King Richard as well. I want to talk a little bit more about the movie.
But anyway, yes, I'll be done watching Will Smith's balls in just a minute here. He's a slept on fucking actor, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the roles he's in, because a lot of times the movies where he really shows how good he is get lost in a bad movie. Like, I'll tell you what, the rest of the movie really is kind of crap.
Okay.
But he does the magical Negro very, very well.
Fair enough.
In Bagger Vance. Like, it's such a stupid trope, but I'll tell you what, it's to sound stupid, it's the best example of the trope of the, because it's good, because it's there and you see it and you're like, okay, yeah, I get what he's doing here, but he's so good and charming at it that it doesn't it's not oh shucks, you should he's
Like,
not
wow.
he's not shucking and jiving.
He's at his best when he's a little laid back, like when
Yes.
he's not quite over the top, because like he is endearing and he is charming and he is all of that. Because when he gets over the top, he kind of becomes Will Smith the character,
Yeah.
and that's when you see him in so many roles like Independence Day and other films like that. Like then he is just
Movie star Will Smith.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's fine. Like, and he's
It
made a
is,
lot
but
of money doing that, and those
if you
movies have made a
notice
lot of money.
but if you notice in those movies, they always the best parts that he does are always when he has someone else to play off of.
Mhm.
Bad Boys only works with Will Smith because he's got Martin Lawrence with him, and the same way in those
Same thing
movies.
with Men in Black, yeah.
Men in Black, it's the same thing. It's not without Tommy Lee Jones to play off
And
of.
I guess Carlton was who he played off with. Carlton and
Exactly. When he
Phil Banks, yeah.
when he does comedy, he needs a partner. He needs someone there with him. When he is doing drama, man, he just chews up the scenery, man. It like you can't. I'm I don't want to say I'm transfixed by him when he's on the screen, but like I love everything he's done. Even he's done I'm forgetting the name of the movie now, but it's the one where he goes around and like his wife died and so he's talking to people.
Yeah, fucking they're making actually a sequel. I Am Legend, right?
Oh no, okay. That's another story for another time.
Oh.
That's actually one that the I Am Legend is one that uh it's funny because no, I liked it because it's closer to what the actual short story was, but there was an original movie that they called The Omega Man.
Of course, that's a classic.
Charlton Heston.
Yeah,
Yes,
of course.
that like it's so hard to in my head to reconcile that that's actually the same story and it's the same movie, but it's not. Like
totally different eras. I feel like Omega Man is absolutely, and we're up on a tangent. Omega Man was absolutely of its time. The music, even I think the fact
the scenery, like, the costuming.
Matthias, I almost feel like that was almost like an indictment of like the hippies. I feel like like that was about, and it was a right wing in a way, like a right wing manifesto for like, this is why guns are important. And maybe big pharma is bad. And let's bring back like slavery so we can have like our black concubines. No, whoa, that was weird. Okay, anyway, moving right along, as like Kevin's like, I'm not gonna react to that one. Going back to King Richard.
Yes.
I will say that I was never really a tennis person. I have been to like, I think Wimbledon, or whatever they have like in New York somewhere, like Forest Hills.
Yeah. Well, Wimbledon's in England.
Okay, whatever they do with whatever you do with
US Open. US Open.
Thank you, US Open. See, I'm not a tennis fan, right? But watching this movie made me actually want to like care a little bit more because it was that good. Really quickly, Anjanou Ellis is great. She was in a Lovecraft Country. She's the wife. Again, I mentioned John Bernthal. He's like Rick Macy, Rick Macy, I think his name is. It's a great film about the power of hustle and the power of knowing your worth, so that way you don't get like screwed over by so many other people who try to screw you over. Highly recommended. A great American tale, and just keeping it real again, a great POC tale. Like I think that in a sport that's so not like, it was just actually exclusionary, in a way.
Yeah.
Like they fucking broke so many barriers, and not only broke the barrier, they just smashed it and killed it. And I think that I'm so glad the story got told, and I'm so glad that Will Smith and the Williams family got together and put together something that's really going to resonate, I think, with a lot of people and inspire people. So it's a movie that's bigger than a movie. It's actually, I think, the kind of positive narrative that I think society can benefit from. So highly recommended, 2 thumbs up. And I've now said my piece. Y'all can like talk about other things. Appreciate the runway here.
No, that's good because that's the best picture nom. And then Kevin, you said you saw Nightmare Alley. What was that?
Yeah, I watched Nightmare Alley, and it's a modern day kind of noir film. I think it's a remake. I think there was an original Nightmare Alley. This is done by Guillermo del Toro, who I think is fucking brilliant. Okay, I think Pan's Labyrinth is one of the best movies you can ever watch. It is beautiful. It is heartbreaking. Like, it is intelligent. Have you seen Pan's Labyrinth, Pete? You look confused.
It is not a movie to do on a lot of drugs.
No, because the movie is on a lot of drugs already.
Yeah,
it's one of the drugs for you.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that like stoners and hallucinogen users are always like, dude, you should watch Pan's Labyrinth. I was one of those stoner hallucination people when that movie came out, and I can tell you, no, that's not. Don't let anyone tell you that ever. That movie, it is a. I'm not so big in as much into the story as I can tell you were, but visually, it was one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen. It is just from beginning to end flawless.
Visual. Yeah, and that's how he operates. So his movies are like that. His movies have a very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. They have a very specific feel to them. And so this movie definitely had that, and it has so many good actors. It's got Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett. It's got Toni Collette. Who's the sister?
Rooney.
Yeah, Rooney Mara. Like it's got, and Ron Perlman, a great cast, and I found it a little boring. The story just kind of, it's really the story of Bradley Cooper's character. Like, it's really about him, and he's trying to make it in the world as a bit of a con man. He becomes essentially a mentalist, right? And so, he finds his way into the carnival, becomes a carny, steals this dude's entire book on mentalism when he passes away, and decides that he needs to do this in high society. And so he's running this game, and he gets in further than he can get, and he gets himself into some trouble. And like, if you really watch the movie understanding, older noir films, the way the story is told makes sense. It's just not particularly exciting. It's good, but it's not as interesting or as exciting or as fun as I thought it would be, knowing that it was Guillermo del Toro. You have, what was it, the woman in the water? Is that the one?
Oh, Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. Yeah. Like, he's so brilliant. He really is so brilliant. And this movie didn't feel like it looked like him, but it didn't feel like him. I want
to jump in for a second. Like, one thing I admire about Guillermo del Toro is how, I don't know of any other directors who can do big films like what was the name of that film? The one with the robots, something Pacific Rim. You can go and do Pacific Rim, which is a big blockbuster, and then right after that you can do The Shape of Water, which, by the way, was the most uncomfortable watch on Christmas Day with my dad and like my brother. Like, what is with all this like full frontal nudity, bush, all that stuff? Like, why is this happening right now? It's like, and she's like totally doing her thing in the bathtub like multiple times, like before going to work. Stop. Anyway, that said, after we left, I was like, this movie's gonna get the Oscar, because this is what people, they like that shit. Like, they like that weird stuff. And my dad just like, it was a weird movie. Anyway, it won. But yeah, but who can do like Michael? It's like Michael Bay doing Transformers and then doing like I don't know, Amelie or something, right? It's like, who else does that? Like, Guillermo, you're kind of the man for that. I respect you.
He really, and he, I guess, has spent 10, 15 years trying to get this movie made, which is crazy to me when you think about the clout that this guy has, right? Like at this point, somebody like you would think if Guillermo del Toro walked into a room and said, "This is the movie I want to make," somebody would be like, "Here's your money, let's go."
Yeah.
Except
so
maybe that's the thing, though. Like you're saying that it didn't grab you the way it was. Maybe that's why it's taken him that long, because he had to.
It's possible. It's possible that the original film, you know, has a reputation. I don't know, but I've heard from a couple of people that watched it and again understand the genre that say that the original is far better than this one. Which is again, it's weird because the performances are all great. You know, everybody's good. Like, there's no bad actors in this movie.
So it's a remake.
and-
So the original movie, it's interesting. It's from 1947.
Whoa.
Okay,
Yeah, it's black and white. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm just looking through the cast to see if there's any name that I recognize, like with like some famous old. No, there's like nobody in here. I'm pretty sure these people were probably famous because this is right around World War II ish. Yeah, no. This was probably, like you said, it was a noir film. I mean, it was probably a little bit of a B movie, but it gets a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah.
75 Metacritic scores.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't see it winning. I don't think it can beat the steam, the heads of steam that the other movies have. I think if it's going up against Coda and Don't Look Up, and I don't know, Power of the Dog is crushing stuff right now too. Like,
so yeah, what is that? I had that one.
It's honestly, a Western. That's all I can tell you about it. It's Cumberbatch. It's a Western. And I know that Sam Elliott, the king of Westerns, just slammed it.
I did read that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Benedict Cumberbatch as a cowboy. I'm gonna.
Kirsten Dunst. I didn't realize she's back.
And her husband is in it too.
Is that who's her husband? Is it Jesse?
Yeah, Jesse Plemons.
That's her husband. Wow, I did not know that. I know.
I didn't get it for a while.
I only know him from Black Mirror. If you ever saw that one episode where he was the captain.
Or was it Game Night? Is that the one where he's the creepy neighbor?
Yes.
Was that another
I
one?
think that. Yeah, I think. Hold on, I'm looking to see if that's who it was. I'm on him right now. Oh, he was also in The Irishman.
He was
Gary. He was Gary, the neighbor in Game Night.
Yeah. He's funny, and he was in Jungle Cruise. He was the German in Jungle Cruise.
Yes. Oh, he's been
in a lot of stuff, and he's really good because he can do the.
Yep, he was in Breaking Bad.
He can do the dramatic part, but he can also do the silly, funny stuff too, which is always, to me, impressive. It's a better sign of a good actor.
That's where I know he was in Battleship.
Nobody fucking knows anybody from Battleship. What are you talking about?
Is that like a 2013 movie or something? Like a Michael Bay-ish movie?
Oh yeah,
it was very Michael Bay-ish. Yes.
And you know what? The entire movie is shit. I've watched it several times, only for the last 15 minutes.
Oh, is that good, huh? The 15 minutes?
Just the last 15 minutes. And I'm gonna totally spoil. So it was supposed to be, here's our tangent, taking us off the rails. You're welcome. So it's it was supposed to be based on the video game Battleship.
No, the board game.
The board game. The board game.
Yeah, excuse me, the board game.
Battleship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's how they've doing the A1 B2 like this is how they do it, and it finally ties together with the game at the very end, right? Aliens are invading. They've gone to Hawaii because there's some SETI research facility that Hamish Linklater is working at that's doing the whole thing. At the same time, there's some joint military naval war games going on where the Australians, the Americans, the Japanese, they all get together. Taylor, I think it's Taylor Kitsch, right? He there's actually the very beginning of the movie, like the first 10 minutes, is actually really kind of funny because just his little misadventure and how he gets busted and winds up in the Navy, and his brother's already a captain in the Navy. He winds up dating like the admiral's daughter, kind of thing, blah 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 blah. He's on his way to being a boat captain, yada yada yada. Okay. Aliens are invading while they're having these war games. The aliens basically, their technology builds this giant dome force field so that nothing can get in or out of it, right? And they destroy everybody's navies and this and that, all our modern weaponry. And you've got this whole side quest going on the fucking island where they're trying to break down the little things that send the that'll send the location to the aliens. I mean, it's shit. Like I'm not even.
It's a garbage movie.
It's shit. Okay, it's not. There's some fun little sequences here or there. The aliens are kind of interesting, but the movie's shit. But what happens is in the very end, they figure out how they're gonna defeat the aliens, and because they're in Hawaii, they go to Pearl Harbor, and they get the Arizona. I think it's not the Arizona. I think it's Missouri. Yeah, because Arizona's
at the bottom of the.
Yeah, I think it's Missouri. It's a battleship, and they get these crusty old World War II sailors that are there working on a thing. And you've got Rihanna, and you've got this dude that we were talking about before, and some people, and they're like, all of a sudden, they're gonna go fight the aliens with the airs. Like they fire up the Arizona, they light the boilers.
Yeah, it's just a whole sequence about how the old men are the only ones that can do it because nobody understands ancient technology, right?
Right.
And and 70-year-old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's all, the whole montage is set to Thunderstruck. It's just like like a dope little montage. And then what they do with the battleship, you don't buy it, but already buying that this ship is gonna run and go and defeat these things. Like the thing where they've got to they figure out how the aliens track them and how their targeting works. So he's got the battleship and he drops the anchor, and it's basically putting on the brakes and it'll fly right by us kind of shit.
The hard turn because of the anchor.
And the end with the Missouri and that whole thing and what they do, that is really fun, but it's only the last 15 minutes of the movie, if that, maybe 10. The rest of the movie is utter fucking trash.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those where if it's on, I'm like, I'll sit through the trash just for this fun sequence.
Once
it's that
you
good to me.
Accept that it's garbage.
Yes,
it's entertaining. The stuff that happens is visually exciting and it's got its jokes and stuff, but it is not a good movie. You don't watch it and you're like, God, I can't wait to watch Battleship. It's not a good movie.
No, it's like this. It's got the side quest on the on the island. You've got this guy who is a wounded vet who's got 2 fake legs, who winds up fighting with the big tough alien, because they figure out that the aliens don't do well with sunlight. That's why they're how some aliens are wearing masks and their breather things because they can't. No, these aliens, any sort of light is too bright for them, so they figure out, we can blind them.
So they went to Hawaii. it's like fucking science when they come to Earth and they don't like water. I'm like, dude, you can tell from space there's too much fucking water.
You're smart enough to find a way to fly across the universe, but you don't read the fucking Zagat guide to the planet on your fucking way. Come on, dude. So it's a shit movie, but that last hymn is actually incredibly entertaining and just fun. But it is, like you said, Kevin, you just accept that what you're going to watch is crap to get to that point. It's so bad, it's super predictable. Anyway, back to our Oscars.
So who do we think is going to win Best Picture?
Well, so we'll just take a quick look at nominees here. We've got Belfast, which is a Kenneth Branagh deal, in black and white. I really, really, really want to see that. That looks good.
So do I.
Coda on Apple TV Plus. That's in my up next. That's another one I really want to see because it just looks entertaining as hell, and Marlee Matlin is fucking brilliant. And so I'll watch, forget Children of the Lesser God. Again, she was in my, she was on West Wing, and she's amazing. It's one of the, she's not just a good deaf actress. Why am I making
She's a good actress.
She's a good fucking actress. And that it looks like a very interesting story that we don't, and it's one of those stories that doesn't get told a lot. So I'm very interested in seeing it. Don't Look Up. Again, that's another one I do want to see because enough people have talked about it that I'm like, okay, I'll put that on the list. I don't know how soon I'm going to get to it because I love Simon Pegg. I'll watch Simon Pegg in fucking anything.
But Simon Pegg and Don't Look Up?
I didn't think he was.
I don't think he is either.
It's Leo and Jennifer Lawrence and
hold on. Oh no, you know who I was thinking of is the Sometimes Fat, Sometimes Not.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jonah Hill. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then then you got Drive My Car, which this is one
I'm curious about that one.
This is
it's
one
on HBO right now, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So this is foreign film.
Like Japanese.
Yeah. Cope with his wife. Okay. It's kind of cool. Yeah. A renowned stage actor and director learns to cope with his wife's unexpected passing when he received offered to direct a production of Uncle Vanya in Hiroshima. Okay, that actually does sound really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I think. Well, I don't know. It's deep, but I think for some people that might be hard if you don't know what Uncle Vanya is. Interesting. Dune. I got to be honest with you. I loved that movie. I don't know why it's nominated for Best Picture. It's not.
Dune seems like to me that it's nominated for the same reason that Nightmare Alley is. Like, it's pretty. It's got a great cast. It was well made. Like, there's a lot of things about it that are very good. But I think it's like the spectacle movie that you put in the Best Picture category knowing it can't win, right? Like, it's there. But like, Dune was a very specific film for me. I feel like people that weren't at least interested in the original story would have liked it very much. It was even for me, who only recently read the book. I haven't seen the original series, but I get it. Like, I get the story, and I get why people like it so much. It was a little boring for me.
Yeah.
The new Dune,
which I get, and see, this is what
it should have been a series again. I know they've done it a couple of times, but it lends itself better to a story because there's so much fucking story to tell.
Yes, exactly. It's I both loved it and kind of hated it at the same time. I'm a little polarizing for some Dune fans because I actually really enjoyed the original film with Kyle MacLachlan, and it was I understood because I read the book first. I had read the first book before I saw the movie for the first time, and in reading the book, I knew there was no way to make that into a 2.5 hour movie. Let's even say that time.
Even a 3-hour movie, it just doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
It did a very good job. That original movie actually did a very good job of slamming a lot of that book and condensing it down into a very still coherent, entertaining story. I thought Kyle MacLachlan was good. I loved Sean Young. Like, everybody, it was actually a pretty good movie. The soundtrack, honestly, is fucking awesome. People like complained about the soundtrack, and I was like, no, this soundtrack was great. Then the next iteration of Dune we got was actually a Sci-Fi Network
miniseries,
which was a closer adaptation of the book, but it
on a Sci-Fi Channel budget.
Yeah, it almost felt at times like it was all cosplay, like all the costumes, like that was the level and the quality of it. No, I'm the same. It's no. It was and that the problem with that series then was that it was so visually bad that the acting actually was okay, and the script and the adaptation that they used and the amount of the story that they told wasn't bad, and it actually worked really well. Then this movie comes out, and it's good. It's very enjoyable, but at this point, if we go back and take this movie and compare it to the other movie, we're at an hour at the hour and a half movie, in a 2.5 hour movie at that point, maybe hour 10 mark, where this movie ends. I'm kind of excited that it is going to be 2, if not 3 movies. That's really cool because they are going to get to tell a lot more of the story. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. This should have been 2 seasons, 13 to 15 episodes a season on HBO or Netflix or Amazon or something like that. Really stretched out. You can tell the story.
There's so much backstory. There's so much backstory just in the original book. Not even if you ignore the whole series that he did, the original book. There's so much backstory.
Yes,
and in defense of modern storytelling, that dude is verbose. Like the writer of, I forget his name, Herbert, right?
Frank Herbert. Yeah,
it is like he uses many words to tell a story, right? And it's great, but it makes it a hard read. If that's not your favorite thing, and then it makes it hard to convert into a story because you have to determine, do you really need to know so much about how, this guy's
the
blue
spacing
eyes,
guild,
right?
There's and this is, I mean, here, I'll quick tangent on this one because we've never really gotten a chance to talk about it because nobody else but me has watched it since Dave's not on the show anymore. There's that show on Amazon called Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I watched some of it. I lost
which I understand. It's very polarizing among Robert Jordan's fans because people have been waiting for some sort of visual representation of this show for years and years and years. A lot of people like it. A lot of people fucking hate it. They even with a show like that, this is a guy who's got, you're going to try and tell a story. It's a 12 book series. I think it was 12 total, at least, or 9. No, I think it's 9. All these books are 700 to 1,000 a piece. Like there's, there are these epic fantasy novels. You've got hundreds of storylines. It's the first book I read that had friggin' not only a glossary but a cast of characters, and it tells you kind of where they are, and because there's so many fucking balls going on and floating up in the air. This was a very ambitious project for them to take on. And even in an Amazon Prime, they had to cut it up and change it so many ways just so that they could tell enough of this story that they have like good points. Because you could spend, if you wanted to tell this entire story, you could spend 26-hour-long episodes easy on just the first book. Two standard seasons very, very easily. You can't. It's like with the Harry Potter movies. I think that's why the Harry Potter movies work so well, because there's so many fun little subplots in the Harry Potter movies, but they figured out exactly what to cut. Like we don't need the whole fucking house elf, liberation
uprising,
thing. Yeah. There's all sorts of little plot lines. They said, nope, we don't necessarily need this. We can condense this down into one quick thing that that matters this way. And I think Dune would have been better served in that respect because of that, because that you could tell on TV very easily and tell an incredibly faithful to the the book's adaptation of it. I still think 3 movies, you're gonna get, Kevin, like what you said, where it's going to be boring for people because there's a lot in there that
it's just so much backstory. There's so much stuff that isn't action, but you kind of need, because of the story, and it does make it a hard story to tell because there's a lot of stuff that is interesting, but it's not visually interesting. Right. Like
Andrew, did you see that? Did you see Dune?
I did. And actually, the thing is, I know that there's been some announcements on who's going to be in the new one, and I'm trying to remember, like the second, Florence Pugh. That made me excited. So Florence Pugh is in talks to be part of Dune 2, which is, I think, good. Denis Villeneuve, I think that's how you say his name. He's never been one to be able to tell us the same story. I think that's part of why Blade Runner 2049 was a rough watch.
But he's the same guy that blasted Marvel movies for not being good movies. Like, I'm like,
you know, he just I think he's very self-indulgent. You know, I will say that again, the Dune film, fucking gorgeous, okay? And I like the score too that Hans Zimmer put together. But you know, as I was talking about like the Batman last time versus Dune, I said Batman was like 3 hours. I never once looked at my watch. Dune, I've looked at my watch several times. You know, so it's like you know, so it's like, yeah, it is what it is, man. Like whatever, like, you know. And I was actually, and that's the other thing. I'm an objective person, okay? So as you guys know, if you diss Marvel Studios, like you're pretty much dead to me because like you fucking suck, right? So when Dennis did that, I was like, I hope your movie is shit, okay? I went and saw your movie. It wasn't shit. I actually, okay, you pulled it off. Okay, it's a good movie. I can't, if I say your movie is shit, I'm a hater, and I don't want to be a hater. But you could have told it in a more tight way, but you just don't know how to do that. So whatever. I'm in. I'm in for Dune. I don't think it deserves Best Picture. I mean, it's not going to get Best Picture, but
no, it doesn't. I don't even think it has a chance, to be honest. Like I said, that Nightmare Alley, I feel like we're thrown in just because of the spectacle of them. I think if I'm picking, I'm saying it's probably somewhere, but just based on what I've seen, is somewhere between Coda and Power of the Dog. As long as if the woman, the director, wins for Power of the Dog and doesn't say something stupid this time.
Jane Campion?
Yeah. That was painful.
What did she say again?
She said, you know, it's effectively that yes, Serena and Venus are very impressive, but they don't have to compete with men. And
she said, yeah.
And you watch, like, I have not watched tennis enough to know when I'm looking at Venus and Serena which one is Venus or Serena. Like I've followed their careers like as a unit and not as individuals, and so I don't know. One of them was just like, and the other one was just cheering. The other one was like, fuck it, because there's for them there's a degree of humility where they just know that even then people don't understand what they've been through. Like people don't, so they're just like, okay, you know, they're like, we know what we've done, our work speaks for itself, and if this crazy white woman wants to be ignorant, then just let her, you know, let her post her response later, or her
you hit the nail on the head, Kevin. You said humility. That actually is a pretty important part of the film early on. Like that gets hammered home into them by Richard about the humility piece.
That's one thing I've always known about them, because when they hit it, they were without question the two best female tennis players on the planet. Like when they came up, it was done. Like it was Venus and Serena's world, and we were all living in it, right? And but they never had the attitude, they never had the ego, and I think, you know, some of that just comes out of obviously the way they were raised, but they didn't get the respect that somebody like Andy Roddick got. And Andy Roddick was just a fucking, you know, white 20-something tennis player who was really handsome and happened to be pretty good at tennis. He wasn't even the best in the world. You know, I actually followed tennis a little bit for a while, and like there was so many good tennis players, but like people, even like people now, Venus and Serena are Venus and Serena, right? Like they're the name. But even when they were coming up, they were a bigger name and a bigger attraction than Roddick, than Blake, than Federer, than all these other guys. But somehow they still didn't have respect that they deserved. Like, well, I can tell you now, is like I played some tennis when I was younger. I was never great, but I was decent. It's one of the only sports I ever beat my stepdad at, because he was really athletic. So like for me, he played minor league baseball. So like that was an achievement for me. Like to beat my stepdad at something. And
we can unpack that a little bit more later.
But like
it's the only thing I ever beat my stepdad at, motherfucker.
Yeah, like but like Never in my
like
life
father,
would I expect.
stepfather. Sorry, I had to do that Weezer thing. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Never in my life would I expect it just because I'm a man. I could step on the court and compete with those girls.
Right.
Like they, even when I was young and fit and at my best, they would have murdered me. Like it would have been brutal. Like they were so good and so like just mentally strong and physically strong. It's unreal.
I will say this, it is very interesting to me, and I just thought about this. It's a little bit like golf too. It kind of shows you the mindset of what I would call country club sports like tennis and golf to some degree, that you are accepting of openly homosexual people before you are black people. Because I know one of the big things with Serena and Venus is that they were kind of shut out of a lot of things and not, because they were black. Yet Martina Navratilova,
she had her own fight, but that road was paved by Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King, no,
right?
exactly.
Like
but
that was like a whole other battle.
That it's just a very interesting thing to me. And you go, obviously most female golfers of the time, but then Tiger Woods came on and phenomenal golfer, amazing golfer, but I think I don't think Tiger would have gotten the same initial response and attention that he got if he was a white golfer. I think because he was breaking that barrier because he was so good. But I don't think
he's the opposite of the Williams. Like he never quite had that humility that they had, right? Like,
oh no,
he was cocky. Like he came out and he was cocky because he was awesome at like 16, right? Like he was badass young. He was like the LeBron James of golf, right? Like he showed up and everybody was like, it doesn't matter how old you are, here's our money, go be amazing, right? It's interesting because it's not like Tiger was the first black golfer, right? No. And James Blake was a black tennis player. I think before Serena and Venus came up, and
or Ashe.
Like he was.
I forget Arthur Ashe exactly.
Yeah, that's Arthur Ashe.
Yeah, I'm
saying
Blake was modern, but Arthur Ashe, yeah, he paved that road too. But there was a whole thing about Serena and Venus that nobody else had.
It is, but then like you bring up Arthur Ashe. I mean, not exactly the darkest of fellows.
Well, neither was James Blake. Neither was James Blake.
Right? No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That they were like, if it sounds bad. And again, I'm just trying to point out it's very interesting to me, like the safety in these country club sports, where because Venus and Serena are not really light skinned at all.
No.
And that I think for a lot of people when they first stepped on the court,
it was jarring for them.
It was I think it was.
The real question is, when is the brother going to break into squash? Okay, when are we going to break that barrier? No, it is though. Like, and to this day, we have country clubs where women and black people can't go in and play a round of golf. Like, there's literally still country clubs where they won't let you come play a round of golf if you're black or female. They're just like, no. And it's so shitty to me. I was like, it's ridiculous.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
I want to jump back on this because you're making me want to talk a bit more about the movie. But at the same time,
on next week's edition of Two White Guys and
I'm also wanting to
explain bigotry and prejudice in America.
Woke with Pete and Kevin.
So real quick, I'm gonna say. So, wait, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. You go.
No. Finish your thought.
No, because it wasn't a thought about this. I didn't know what you were gonna say.
Oh, I was gonna be like, so we talked about best movie. Want to talk about best actor, best actress?
Oh yeah, no. So so what is everybody's pick? Because what I'm gonna do is I've heard of most of these. The one that we hadn't talked about yet that I actually wanted to see more than any of them. I'm just gonna go with the little outlier and go with Licorice Pizza. I like Paul Thomas Anderson to a degree. I have heard nothing but amazing things from a variety of people. Licorice Pizza. It's a coming of age story set in 1973 in typical PTA form. When dealing with younger people, they're not perfect looking. Like he doesn't find the most beautiful people on the planet to play his characters.
They're
And
not
I
the High
love
School
that.
Musical set.
Exactly. And that movie just looks like it's a lot of fun. And I think that maybe just coming out of the pandemic, I think this movie scored with a lot of people. So I'm gonna go with Licorice Pizza as my pick for who's win, because again, the only one of these I've seen was Dune, and frankly, in my opinion, Dune shouldn't be on there. So I'm not gonna count that as something that I've seen. But yeah, I really want to try and bang out most of these.
Speaking of wokeness, I'm seeing here Licorice Pizza criticized for anti-Asian racism. Now, and then
Damn
Licorice
it.
Pizza's director's justification of anti-Asian scenes misses mark. So I'm guessing because it's a period piece, like in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
There,
I would assume, yeah.
but it's
But
still like, yeah.
I'd be interested to see what the anti-Asian sentiment is. Like that's
Yeah. I bet it comes out of the period. But at the same time, you have to, because you're probably talking about Vietnam, right? If you're
Actually,
in
it
the
says here,
70s, it's the backlash from Vietnam.
Asian Americans have taken issue with the scenes in which white Japanese restaurant owner Jerry Frick, played by John Michael Higgins, launches into a slow mock Asian accent while speaking to his love interests, two separate Japanese women. The director, who claims the joke was on Frick, the idiot saying stupid shit, said was lost in understanding the backlash. So, I that's basically. I'm not going to minimize anyone's like what's the word offense, but it's funny that we were just talking about it. You can always find something, I guess.
Well, that's again,
sure.
it in some ways now that little bit of controversy almost wants to make me see it a little bit more.
Just to
because
see.
now I'm going because now I want to see because Paul Thomas Anderson's a really good character-driven filmmaker. Like his films are always very visually interesting, but everything he does relies heavily on character to drive the story along. It's
Is
so
he do Up? What else has he done?
PTA. Off the top of my head, see,
I sent Pete to the IMDb. This will take a while now.
Yeah.
Yep. No, because I already had it pulled up.
Well, while you're looking it up, I'm just gonna say my
Punch
pick
Drunk
is
Love.
probably okay.
Boogie Nights.
Oh, Boogie Nights, yeah.
Yeah, There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood. Yo, that is a fantastic film. All right, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, but that's like
right. Fair.
He's got a very and that's the other thing about Paul Thomas Anderson. He's got a very
married to Maya Rudolph, man. He's the man. That's all I gotta say.
I love Maya Rudolph.
So
she's awesome.
It's that's what I'm saying. I think I again, like you said, Andrew, not to minimize anyone else's feelings about something like that, but at the same time, I do have to wonder if this is also a case, and this is why I want to see it, of somebody just looking for something and not understanding the joke completely, because PTA is usually pretty good with stuff like that. Like not that there's been examples of that and other, but if he's using that as part of that character, then there's a reason, and it's
true to the character. He's a fucking douchebag.
So I'm interested in that makes me actually want to see more. So Kevin, what was you saying your pick for best picture was?
If I, again, this is guessing, right, because I just haven't seen enough of these.
Yeah,
but just based on the buzz, I'm going to say it's probably Power of the Dog. That's going to take it. I do wonder, like, I don't know when the votes get in and get settled. So if that Jane Campion thing sets anybody off in the voting afterwards, because it was a little bit of a controversy. I could see that getting knocked down a peg, but otherwise, just like I said, based on everything I've heard from anybody that's not named Sam Elliott, it's pretty excellent. And like I understand who Sam Elliott is. He's a dude that's made westerns for 60 years, and he's like 150 years old. So like,
yeah, but Sam Elliott's also like a classically trained actor from Connecticut.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott, this is the thing. Sam Elliott is like a serious version of Larry the Cable Guy. Larry the Cable Guy is not a redneck hick. I forget his actual name, but he's like from Connecticut. He's like, the whole Larry the Cable Guy is a complete act.
That reminds me of how the Bush family, Prescott Bush, they're from Connecticut too. They're blue bloods, but somehow like W. Bush came like Texas,
They're oilmen.
Yeah, but yeah, Prescott is like such a blue blood name. That's like the grandparents, Anyway, yeah. I just made me think of that.
But yeah, so I'm really curious about that one. It does seem, like a long, slow burn as far as westerns go. But there's a history of this. You've got Unforgiven back in the day with Clint Eastwood and those movies, where I think with a western, if it's a good western, that slow burn works. Whereas some other movies it might not.
Yeah, but we'll see. Unforgiven wasn't just a slow burn. I feel like Unforgiven was a different kind of western than we had ever seen. I think that's why that actually got nominated. Because I know Silverado got nominated like years before it, and it was the last western to get nominated before it. And Silverado was just a different type of movie. Like it was a western, but it was still almost in that classic vein of westerns, if you will. Like Tombstone is my favorite western of all time. It's a spaghetti western in so many ways. Like really it is. Like it's fun. It's not historically accurate to any sort of degree. But it's just great little performances. It's fun. Anyway, so you're gonna go with The Power of the Dog, and Andrew, you are going with
God. It would literally be like throwing like blindfold and throwing a dart.
That's
I can tell you it's probably not Nightmare Alley or Dune.
I'm gonna go with I gotta pick one, right?
Yep.
I can't go with three. Here's my three. I'll go with three. And these are all just like wild guesses. I'm gonna go with Belfast. I'm going to go with Drive My Car, and I'm going to go with King Richard. So those are my three.
I'll give you three chances. I don't give a shit.
There's a very anti-American sentiment there. That's all.
It is. Fuck America. No, I'm joking. That was a joke.
Says the Canadian.
So exactly. Don't deport me.
So
Dagnabbit.
You said Dagnabbit. You said Belfast, Drive My Car, and King Richard.
Yep.
All right, so you get three chances. If any one of those three win, we'll give you a point. What do I really think is going to win, though? Honestly, I think Coda's going to take it. I don't know why. I just think there's something about that movie and the buzz that's surrounded it that I honestly legit think it is. I'm still sticking with Licorice Pizza.
Where the feel-good movie, it may be a better bet, but
yeah. On to Best Director. We've got Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, PTA for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. So I'm going to bring this up now, since I was going to save it for next week, but I forgot that it was nominated in here, but not up in Best Picture. That's why I moved on. So this last week, I watched West Side Story. I was a little anti-seeing it at first because it was one of the first musicals I had ever seen. The original, West Side Story. I absolutely loved it. With the original, I'm forgetting the choreographer's name now, and I'm going to shoot myself for it because it's super famous. I thought
Fosse,
it was.
was it?
No, it's not Fosse. It's
Okay.
Anyway, it's not important. So much as to say that I was very, very, when I first heard that they were doing it, I was very anti, even with Steven Spielberg's name attached to it. I was like,
That almost made me more against it than for it.
I was like, why are you gonna fuck with this? Why? Why? This was a great like classic musical, like, and it was done, I don't want to say perfectly, but very, very well. Then the first trailer came out and I saw that and I was like, oh well, okay. He was very smart in that he didn't they didn't you didn't get a full trailer until the movie was almost ready to come out. It was all always teasers with little bits, and then I think 3 weeks before the movie actually debuted, you actually got a trailer where you saw more scenes, some of the actual dancing, what they did. Finally watched it. I was actually incredibly surprised with how much I liked it. It's very well done. It's faithful in a lot of ways to the original. There is there's a couple little changes and some additions to a scene where forgive me, I'm forgetting the name of the character now, but it was it was the tomboy in the original 1960s. It's a tomboy again now this time, but they kind of talk a little bit about there's a discussion about in the way about her wanting to be a boy, and it kind of tackles the trans issue in the late 40s early 50s there. So it was that was kind of, it was like, okay, we're addressing that, cool, whatevs, do your thing. The choreography wasn't the same, but it still felt very much in the same vibe. It worked very, very well. I didn't know how I was gonna do with Baby Driver as Tony. I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. It was really good. I'm forgetting. We'll talk about her when we get down to the thing. I know it's got I think, is that who it is? The one that got the nomination. We'll talk about her when we get down to, because I think she's best supporting. It's really, really good. If you're a fan of the original one, you'll actually like this one. If you like West Side, I dug this. It wasn't like awesome off the charts, but it was enough. I liked that Steven Spielberg got to play a little bit. One of my favorite numbers from the original musical is America, but they're very much confined to, I think if I remember correctly, it's very much on that one rooftop. And, I think they make their way through a couple of apartments as they do that number. In this one, they parade through the streets of New York in doing this. And it's fun. It makes it super duper fun. The opening sequence was, still very good. It does help build a little more tension than the original did in a lot of ways. They do some more fun stuff with it. There's more about how the neighborhood's getting knocked down, and they're going to be building new buildings here, and so it doesn't matter, but it's still, all the guys who played the Sharks and the Jets were great. All the musical numbers were great. The stuff you like about West Side was there, and I would say if you enjoyed it, if you enjoy Romeo and Juliet set to music with all sorts of racism in the early 50s, then you will enjoy this.
Spoiler
I don't
alert,
think
I won't.
And
I've just never been a fan of West Side Story. I've never been a fan of Romeo and Juliet. It's just not my favorite.
My daughter and I joke around about that because she had to read it this year, because you read it as a freshman. So they read it this year as freshmen in high school, and the two of us were laughing because we're like, everybody talks about, oh, Romeo and Juliet. It's a shit story.
Yeah,
actually, when you really, it is a great play, and it's a classic Shakespearean play. Blah 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 blah. It's a shit story. I
hate Shakespeare though. I hate Shakespeare.
you've got a 14-year-old girl that's getting married off by her family, or they're trying to set her up. She falls in love with this dude. They wind up killing themselves at the end after they get secretly married. His best friend dies. The family, like, it's fucking horrible. Like that. It's always boggled my mind when kids like talk about
the only good retelling was Romeo Must Die.
No, I will disagree with you there. The Baz Luhrmann was
no. Actually, I do love that one, but I'm a bitch for Baz Luhrmann. I love Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Romeo's Die. It was actually really good because we had, that was Aaliyah and Jet Li.
Yeah,
and that, like, I enjoyed that. But that Baz Luhrmann's was
that was something special. That was something special.
Harold Perry. I mean, and again, no, but this is Romeo and Juliet's a perfect example of a situation where I loved everyone else around them, but Leo and what's her bucket?
Claire Danes.
I didn't care. I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit about him. I was like, no, bring me more Jamie Kennedy and Dash Mihawk and Harold Perrineau. I want John Leguizamo, just like 2 hours of him being fucking Tybalt, like, all the time. That he's just and again, it's Baz Luhrmann putting that together. So that, I think, at least in my opinion, is even better than the Zeffirelli version. And there's a newer version that they did, the classically styled and treated, if you will. And I was like, why? You didn't, like, this didn't need to be made. Just show kids the Baz Luhrmann one. Don't even bother with this. They don't need to see it. That was all to get to the point to say, I don't think Steven Spielberg should be nominated for Best Director for West Side Story. I think he's got a nomination because he's fucking Steven Spielberg.
Has Steven Spielberg made anything really good since, like, Saving Private Ryan? I know that's probably treason. Not treason, blasphemy. He did Minority Report, didn't he? So that was pretty good.
I like Minority Report. He took over AI from Kubrick. I love AI. A lot of people don't love AI, but I love AI.
I was impressed.
Anyways, so who are the options for Best Director?
We've got Kenneth Branagh, Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, PTA, Jane Campion, and we're blocking Steven Spielberg out because he doesn't be there. I'm oddly enough not going to go with PTA for Licorice Pizza. I'm going to split my vote, and I'm actually going to give this one to Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. I think that, again, only having seen the thing, but I saw an interview of him talking about it, and it really felt like the way he was talking about this was one of these labor of love, like his heart was in it kind of projects. Like he really felt this. There's a lot of him in it. So I personally am going to go with Kenneth Branagh for Best Director.
Samesies.
All right, we're in agreement.
All right,
so we're all
Kenneth Branagh on that one. I know, right? Because we'll be wrong. All right, next up.
Sorry, Ken, we ruined it for you.
Next up is Best Actor, where we have Javier Bardem for being the Ricardos. That movie's on my list to watch. It looked very interesting. I'm interested to see it, just because I always love the kind of behind the scenes look at stuff like that, and from what I've been told, not only do you get a pretty good look at their relationship, but a lot of stuff. There's a lot of behind the scenes kind of inside baseball stuff about the I Love Lucy show and all the Desilu productions, and the family was involved in this one. So I'm interested to see that one. Here, I'll get a little blasphemous. I'm not always the biggest Javier Bardem fan, so I don't know. I'll watch it. I'll tell you if I agree there. Then we've got Flumberdick Wumpy Bunch for The Power of the Dog. Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom, which I haven't seen all of. I watched part of it. My daughter watched it because she was watching, like, she watched Rent. Which I had already seen. She said she was a little disappointed with Tick Tick Boom, but that Andrew Garfield was awesome.
Yeah.
She said that the movie itself and the music and just kind of the way they told the story was cool, but it got a little confusing and it got a little bogged down and it was very boring at times. But that he was awesome. That you really felt the emotion, the mania, and all and everything that was going on.
I think it's between him and Will.
That's because
Andrew Garfield is my pick. Having not seen any of these movies.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, that's why I'm enjoying this, because I'm literally basing this, like all of these so far, on I want to watch this movie because of the trailer. I'm gonna so you guys are both Andrew Garfield on that one?
Well, I'm cheating and saying Andrew Garfield, but I'm handicapping it, or however you put it, with like Will, whatever. Like Will's there too.
Okay. See, I'm going to go again with the outlier here, and with the one we hadn't had a chance to mention. I'm going to go with Denzel in The Tragedy of Macbeth, because I have a feeling that an older Denzel playing Macbeth is just fucking brilliant. Like I'm really interested to see this. I love Macbeth, and I'm not in a theater, so I can say the name. In terms of Shakespeare's tragedy, so I'm gonna go with Denzel, just because I also think Denzel deserves an Oscar for something other than Training Day. That's just me.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna go. Welcome back to Woke with Pete. It annoyed the bejesus out of me that he didn't win for Malcolm X,
and instead it went to Son of a Woman. I think Al Pacino.
Yeah,
that was like a legacy.
Yeah, look, Son of a Woman's a great movie. I love Al Pacino. That's a great performance in that fucking movie. It's phenomenal. Denzel Washington and Malcolm X was fucking amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Like you talked about before, like where you forgot you were watching Will. I forgot I was watching Denzel Washington. Like it was almost to that point of what Rami Malek did with Freddie Mercury.
Right.
Like when Denzel would there, like I'm like, whoa, that's footage that I've seen. Because I was also like, I had read the autobiography at that time, so I knew that story. And the movie, Spike did such a good job with that movie and telling that story, and the way he told it was just so well done. And Denzel was fucking brilliant in it. So I'm gonna go with Denzel for Tragedy of Macbeth, because he deserves an Oscar for some shit other than fucking Training Day, in which he was good. But I mean, really, like, it's a makeup Oscar. Best Actress, we have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Really want to see that movie still, and I absolutely love Jessica Chastain. So that'll be interesting. Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter. I have never even heard of that movie. Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers. I have not even heard of that movie. Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos. And Kristen Stewart for Spencer. She got pretty hammed for Spencer by a lot of people. I heard that like people were not happy with that performance, and it's continue without me for just a moment.
All right. So we got to make sure we get some Lost in there as well, of course.
I know we still got a way to go. But I haven't seen any of these movies, and while I do just regularly crush on Jessica Chastain, I think she's gorgeous and talented and amazing and spectacular. My pick would be Olivia Colman.
Hasn't she already got an Oscar, Olivia Colman?
Yeah, she has cleaned up in the award shows for like the last 3 years.
Yeah. When she's nominated, she's
yeah, exactly. Like it's I'm just betting on the lead horse, you know.
Yeah.
Again, because I haven't seen these, but yeah.
By the way,
that would be on Olivia Colman.
Same Z's on Jessica Chastain for the record.
Mhm.
But yeah, okay. I'm also gonna go with the safe one then, Olivia Colman.
Okay, so that's an OC for you guys. I'm going to go. I'm going to take the outlier again, and this time I'm going to pick Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos.
That'd be my second guess.
Just because I feel like the Oscars could be interesting this year. All right, best supporting actor. Let's get through this quick. I forget how to say this dude's name. Hines from Belfast. Ciaran, it's Gaelic, I don't know. Troy Kotzer for Coda, who I believe is the dad in that, if you've seen the trailer. Jesse Plemons for Power of the Dog. J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos. And Cody Smith McPhee in Power of the Dog. I'm going to take J.K. Simmons because...
so am I, just because I want him to win. Like I don't know if he can. I don't know if he will, but I'm going to take JK just because I want to see it happen.
Well, I think
He already
we should
has
have
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Whiplash.
Yep.
Which have either of you seen Whiplash?
I love that film. So recommended. And it
Kevin,
was my life, actually.
you hadn't seen it. You haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Okay, you need to see it. We'll see if it's a night that Andy's going to be on as well. That's one to discuss. That's I don't even want to talk about it right now because I held off on watching that movie for so long, and then it was finally on, and I sat down and I just didn't have the time. I was like this and that, and I sat down and watched it a while ago.
Please don't discuss it without me.
Yeah, no. I'll wait for it. It's Whiplash is such a good movie. Okay, so yeah, J.K. Simmons. Are we all feeling J.K. Simmons?
I'm gonna be an outlier. I'm gonna give it to Jesse Plemons.
There we go.
That would be my second one. Yeah, I can see that.
All right, Skimmon is J.K. Simmons as well. This is turning into just who we wish it was. Supporting actress, Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter. Don't again. We should probably look that up, but I don't really care to right now. Judi Dench for Belfast. Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog. Ingenue Ellis. Am I pronouncing that right? Did I say that right? Is it Ingenue?
Yeah.
Ingenue Ellis for King Richard. I'm gonna go actually with the other one. I'm gonna go with Ariana DeBose for West Side Story because she's really, really good. Not only in that, but she's a big future up and comer. Keep your eyes.
But yeah, she was in. I think she was in the new or the what's the one that Lin-Manuel Miranda just did.
Oh, The Heights.
I think she was in The Heights, and then she was in.
She was in Schmigadoon.
Yeah, Schmigadoon.
She's been a couple things.
She's gorgeous too.
I know, but she's also she's apparently she's not into dudes. From what I'm seeing,
that's all right. I had a chance anyways. She's
that kind of makes her even hotter.
Crazy talented. Yeah, she's crazy talented.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, she would be my pick in the category. Actually, she's awesome.
Oh, she was in Hamilton, man. Oh, she's everywhere.
She was in Hamilton though. She was just
she's a backup.
Yeah,
dancer.
She's in the back. Yeah,
chorus. But I think that was still her her launching point. I think.
Yeah. Well, that's if you I will say this: if you go back and watch, because once my daughter and I found out who she was and this and that, we've watched Hamilton a bajillion times now. Mm-hmm. You go back, you can see her in the back, and it's very clearly her, and she's even as a little background chorus member, she's shining.
She's a bit of a scene
quite a bit out there. Yeah. Okay, so that's so let's see. So I've got Ariana DeBose, you've got Ariana DeBose, Kevin, and Andrew.
I will go ahead and choose. And by the way, just for the sake of the podcast, she wasn't in The Heights, at least from my research here. So scratch
really?
that.
I would have sworn she was.
Heights. Again, a smaller role.
She was in the
Heights.
I would have sworn she was in the trailers.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe Wikipedia's wrong. Who knows? All right. I am going to pick, and this is going to be also just based on who we want to win, right? I did like Ingenue Ellis. I think she was really good. I know Judi Dench is a big deal, so I can kind of see them giving it to her just because she's on the older side and has she won anything before, guys? Do you know Judi Dench?
I want to say yes. I think she has to. If she's a dame, for Christ's sakes.
All right. So I feel like that could happen. But I think that Ingenue did a pretty good job in the damn movie.
She's an Oscar winner for Best Supporting Actress in her supporting role in. Let's see, these are all nominees. She won for Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Best Actress in Shakespeare in Love.
All right. So I could see her getting it because Belfast, I think, is going to be it has an Oscar feel to it.
It does.
Ingenue, that would be a good kind of curveball. And then, I mean, if Kirsten won it, I mean, good for her because she has really, in my opinion, she's been in the trenches of like just non-big movies since like Spider-Man.
What else has she done?
Really? The last thing I saw was like, well, it's not that new. It's Melancholia, which is like 2011.
Okay, yeah.
And she was good in that. She just played depressed very well. Probably because she is depressed. Wow. Anyway, be nice, Andrew. So that's all I got. That's all I got. I got Ingenue and Judy, just because, yeah, legacy.
All right. Only got a couple more categories to go here, and then we'll jump into Lost. So, best original screenplay: Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, or The Worst Person in the World, making its first appearance on this thing. I gotta count The Worst Person in the World because the best screenplay, if it's not nominated in any of the other categories, I don't know, homie. Sorry, maybe your screenplay wasn't that cool. Fuck it. In this one, I'm gonna take King Richard.
So, my gut actually said Don't Look Up just because people are so like enamored with that movie and it's so witty, right? So I feel like that could take it, but yeah, at the same time, King Richard was really good too because it was actually like a good story. So it's between those two. I can see Don't Look Up.
I'm going to roll different. I'm going to choose Licorice Pizza.
Okay. All right, so we're all different.
Because you're talking screenplay, you're not talking movie.
Yeah,
that's very good there. Sure. Yeah, that's very good there, Kevin. So Andrew, you again said you were going to go with Don't Look Up or
King Richard.
All right. DLU or King Richard. All right. Best adapted screenplay would be Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, or Power of the Dog. In this case, I want to go with Coda because I haven't picked it for anything, and that movie just looks like it's fucking amazeballs. In this case, I'm actually going to go with Dune because I think this is actually the only category where it really does have a good chance because it's the source material.
Visual effects.
I think it's some visual effects.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll look and see what's nominated in visual effects as well, real quick. I hadn't put that on there, but it's right down on the list, so that'll be easy. So I'm going to take Dune in that one.
Yeah, I will too.
I'll do Power of the Dog. Just to be different.
For adapted screenplay.
All right, then we've got animated films here. We've got Encanto, Flea, Luca, Mitchell's versus the Machines, or Raya the Last Dragon. It's going to be Encanto. Why are we even kidding ourselves?
Agreed.
I do know that the Mitchells versus the Machines was very well liked.
It was hilarious.
He loved it. Yeah,
my youngest, it was fucking hilarious. Encanto's going to win because of that fucking song. Thank you, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then let's visual effects. Let's see. There's costume design, which I don't care about. Cinematography.
That'll probably be Dune also.
Editing, yeah. Sound. See, yeah. Dune's visual effects. Dune's. Ooh, well. Interesting. So visual effects, we've got some very interesting choices here because we've got Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Free Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also watched for the first time on Thursday.
I liked it.
Free Guy.
It was really fun.
That's all it was, and that's all it set out to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. I'm glad they're making a sequel to it. That was like, it was fun, and it wasn't bad.
Yes.
Like it was also just a genuinely good movie. aside. There was nothing too outrageous. It was just fun all the way around. I really liked it. I liked the story. I kept trying to figure out, like, they did a very good job with the trailers of not telling you how they're going to tie the real world into the video games, and I liked the way they did it, and I like their explanation of him and why and what he was, and that they didn't try to do anything weird with him, where once he
like
figured
bring
out
him into the real world or something like that.
yeah, they just said he's in there. But then they also didn't do that weird thing of the two of them are now in love. Like, he had that initially, but once he's figured out what he is now, he's going about his world, and what he, from what we saw at the end, he's going about everything very differently. And she does come in and visit him, but there isn't like they don't make it weird, because I think that would have been weird if somehow, like, she was suddenly like, the only relationship, love relationship I have is with this guy online. I did think the relationship with what's his bucket in the real world, I think that was a little forced at the end. Like, I get the way they did it, and it was very predictable. You saw how, you knew exactly how it was going to happen.
They laid that out really early on.
Yeah, you knew where the meet cute was going to be at that point. It was going to be, she's going to realize it at X point once she finds out X. Excuse me. And she sees the recording of what he said, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, it's the guy that's been here all the time. I love him too. Okay. I felt like they really just kind of fucking jammed that in at the end.
Yeah, it was like, he loves me, so I love him.
Yeah. Because the whole story had like these little love currents running through it, whether it was Ryan Reynolds and her, or the fact that he's got this unrequited love with her. Because, I mean, if this movie was real life, let's be real, she would have stayed in love with the guy on the fake AI in the game world, and then that dude would have flipped out and killed her. It would have been on fucking Dateline. And
the one thing about the movie is that they are really setting it up that, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Ryan Reynolds is a person. Like, yeah, he's in the AI, but there's nothing about him that wouldn't make him a likable person, right? Like, she could fall in love with him, and it would make sense for the story. But it doesn't make it as good of a kids movie or family movie, if she doesn't find her true love in the real world, and then now he's on a mission to find his, right? Like, that's fine.
Yeah, and you're not and you're not, and as a kid, you're not heartbroken for him, even though she was the reason he came out, because, oh wait, no, he's just the guy in the video game. He's still just the NPC. Like, there's not that emotional attachment to him that way. And I think the problem was, and why it feels jammed in, is that they didn't play up that relationship and like him liking her enough when they were doing the real world stuff, that I gave a shit at the end. Like, you knew it was going to happen, but like, there wasn't enough there to make me actually.
But he always felt a little like, it felt like puppy love for him. Like, but it's not a movie where that matters.
Yeah, well, because it makes that move, like when he finally decides to get on board with helping her, try and find this and break this down. They make it seem like he started because of, okay, fine, I'll do it because I really have these feelings for you and you were my old partner and blah blah blah. But then all of a sudden he's like fucking whole hog in, because now he's part of the whole like mystery of what's going on. He's trying to help her find the thing, and she's he's modding the game real time and stuff like that. This, I will say though, it's so funny because I'm giving you all like the shitty parts about the movie, the stuff I didn't like, but I love the movie overall. This was the first thing that I wasn't in love with Taika Waititi in.
Yeah, that's what I said too. He for me, he was the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah,
and he's fine. Like, he's a great actor. I actually like him, but he was so over the top compared to the rest of the movie that it didn't really fit.
Exactly. Like, and I guess maybe this is what they were going for. And I guess you're kind of, I mean, obviously you're supposed to hate him, but I feel like he was, though, more of a character, like more of what you'd want to see as the character in the game, if you will, than he was. All the real life stuff was still oddly grounded. Like there wasn't anything, like they didn't at any point have people with Taika Waititi just trying to shut them down, but he never had hitmen going after, the other two, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he was just so over the top that he should have been a character in his own video game, if that makes sense. Like he belonged more in that side of it. And again, maybe that's what they were going for, and I picked up on it and I just didn't enjoy it as much. But Free Guy was great. I could see that winning for visual effects. There was a lot that went on there that was really fun. Little Ralph Howery was fucking hilarious.
I was gonna say that was the first time I've never been annoyed by Channing Tatum in a movie. Like I just always felt like he was kind of like a wooden actor, but I felt like his woodenness actually fit.
Yeah, he was fun.
In this film, it was funny.
Okay, in saying that though,
although I haven't seen that many Channing Tatum movies, to be fair.
Have you seen 21 Jump Street?
No, and I did, but here's my thing though. Okay, maybe he's a good comedy actor. That's what it is.
Yes,
but I also like.
He was good in Magic Mike.
There was a theme where you're taking these more serious shows and turning them into comedy. And I know that 21 Jump Street isn't the only one it happened with. I think it happened with something else. But if you're saying 21 Jump Street's a good movie, then I'll check it out.
Okay, well, no. Here's what it is. It's the basic premise of 21 Jump Street, and you get to the whole Jump Street side of it at some point in the movie. There's a very serious Jump Street, but then you've got Channing Tatum and
who I
couldn't remember
down
before.
Guy.
Jonah Hill, and it's a buddy cop movie.
Right,
it's a total buddy cop movie. It's just fun. It's fun to watch. But yeah, for visual effects though, even though Free Guy was so good, I'm gonna stick with Dune. Well, it's not our pick. Oh, but no, this is the other one. So No Time to Die. I'm not even sure what that is.
James Bond.
Oh, that's the James Bond movie. Okay. And then we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
No.
And it's Spider-Man good. No Way Home.
No, it's Dune. End of. No chance.
Yep.
The Battle of Arrakis alone. No.
It was again.
These other ones they do have great special effects. No question. Like Shang-Chi's effects are great. Spider-Man's effects are great. And I think it's Dune.
And I am gonna agree with that only because I think there is something like all the other ones. Shang-Chi was very good. Spider-Man no good, but there was nothing in them that was so different than any other Marvel movie that we've seen. Right. With the effects, because we know Marvel's very good about even with you can make your movie whatever you want under this auspices, have this same visual effects department and crew run all your stuff, so it's all going to look the same.
I would actually put Eternals above the ones that got nominated, in my opinion. I think Eternals
for visual cinematography. I would put it in for cinematography.
Yeah. Oh, completely. But Dune, just for the goddamn worms alone.
Yeah,
like the Battle of Arrakis, but those first worms, like that was really like the first time you saw them, because it's a big deal and they're a big part of the movie and the story and everything else. And the first time they're revealed and you see one, they look so good and not cheesy at all, because the original movie, they didn't look cheesy, but that is the one element of that movie and this movie series that if you make the worms look bad, it doesn't matter what you do with the rest of it. If they look hokey at that, but you might as well have Plan 9 from Outer Dune and just leave it at that and just have everything be stapled together paper plates, because I could give a shit at that point. All right, so now we've got those picks. Andy will be getting us his. That was a long way to go to get there.
This was one of the longer ones, at least for me. So
yeah. Oof, good God.
Yeah.
What have we learned this week? Nothing? Good. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, both iTunes, Stitcher, Apple, YouTube. Kevin's doing some lovely things with Andy's Deep Thoughts. Enjoy, have a week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Peace.
I really I knew who Jeff Foxworthy was, and like he was a big deal already, but I really discovered Jeff Foxworthy when I had a friend in Auburn and I was living in Livermore, and the drive was long, especially when you're 18.
Yeah.
I stopped at a gas station. It's truck stop gas station somewhere, and they had an old Jeff Foxworthy tape in their thing, dude. And I bought the tape.
$2, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It was the best fucking tape. It was a whole different thing.
I do love now getting ready for a road trip and making a playlist for road trips. It's usually my wife, because she's fucking phenomenal at it. She'll make a 5-hour playlist with something for everyone on it. She's really, really good about that. But I kind of miss when you would do that, when you'd stop for gas somewhere along the 5 and you'd roll in and you'd be like, oh my God, Night Ranger's greatest hits, and it's 99 cents. There's 2 songs on here I know, but we got to have the CD. And taking the car, or you buy 8 CDs, and it might as well have been a Columbia House giveaway because it's $1, and
and then you've got to listen to the whole thing because you only know one song, so you learn all this other music.
Yeah, and then you'd have I think we've got Huey Lewis in the News once, and neither one of us is really a Huey Lewis fan.
You aren't?
I don't hate him. It's not I don't hate him. I just don't like him that much. No, it's not a dislike. If the music's on, I don't get revolted by it. I enjoy it. It's very 80s. It's that, I love that genre. He's just not my
I put on Huey over a lot of music. I love Huey Lewis.
I do.
As a matter of fact, it's funny. I was listening to Huey Lewis today. My wife said something, and then I can't remember what it was. And now I can't even remember what song. It's so far out of my head now. But she said something, and I finished it with a Huey Lewis line, And then we immediately. That's the beauty of technology today, though. You just looked over and said, "Alexa, play this song," and then we were listening to Huey Lewis in the News.
No, that's awesome. I do.
Which is the opposite of the truck stop thing, right? Now I can be in my car and just be like, "Oh, I want to hear this song," Siri play, blah blah blah. And now, back then, if you wanted to hear a song, you better have it queued up.